Bonjour, mes amis! This is Life in the Conch Shell with Danielle. I have three really great books to talk about today. It's pretty much a trilogy, and so I'm really excited to talk about it. It's placed mainly in France, and so I got my French beret on. I even have French, can you see that? French, it's actually called French Affair. I just had to show you guys. And so we're going to talk about these three awesome books by M.J. Rose. Before I do, I just wanted to say thank you so much for those of you who viewed my first video. I put it out last week and I was so excited. Like after a few days, it had like 100 views. So I was really excited, and a few people wrote comments, and I just was like, it was just so exciting. So thank you so much. I'm just really happy, and it kind of got me motivated to do a second one, because I was like, well, if 10 people watch it, maybe I'll do a second video. So I'm really happy. So we'll dive right into the second video, but thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you subscribing, commenting, and basically just looking at the video and viewing it. So thanks a lot, guys. Alright, so let's dive into the trilogy book. So here are the books. We have, actually we'll go into order of them. This is the Book of Lost Fragrances, Seduction, and The Collector of Dying Breaths. Okay, so the author is M.J. Rose. And she's an American author. She's written like something like 20 novels or more, and it's more like a suspense thriller, historical, adventurous kinds of books, and I really like them. I've only read these three by her, but I do intend to read more from her. Each of these books, so I wrote it down to, this one was 347 pages, and the other two actually were both 365 pages, which was really convenient. And so let's dive right into the first book. So just to clarify that this is actually part of a 6-book series, but this is the last 3 books in the series. The main story, or the main character, is told by Jac, and she is in the last 3 books, so I didn't read the first 3 books. Also, while I was one day walking around New York City, I just happened to see the signing of M.J. Rose, and I love to support authors, so I was like, I want to go in there and check it out, and she even signed it for me, so I was really excited. This came out a few years ago, and I had gotten, after I read it, I got the other 2 books and only read them now. I've just been very busy. So let's talk about the first book now. So the first book is called The Book of Lost Fragrances. It follows our character Jac and her brother Robbie. They just inherited their family's French perfume company, and we start to learn that Jac has been having these visions since she was little. They seem to be triggered with scents or perfume or essential oils or something like that, and we start to realize that she's not very happy with them. They're disturbing her, and she thinks at first that it has to do with childhood traumas, but we don't really know yet. She does finally eventually find a doctor who tries to help her kind of calm them down so she's not as afraid of the visions when they come. He thinks that they are past life visions, and she does not believe that whatsoever. So when she gets a little bit older, she ends up leaving Paris and going to New York City. She becomes a mythologist, basically to, I guess, be a myth buster and disprove myths. One day her brother does call her and say, I need you to come home. He doesn't tell her that something that he's found in their office could kind of prove reincarnation and past lives, but he knows she doesn't believe in that, so he doesn't tell her. But she does go back, and then the real adventure begins. This book is really cool because it takes place in not only modern day Paris, but in Egypt, in ancient Egypt, in Cleopatra's time. It has to do with the French Revolution, and also it talks a little bit about Tibet and their battle with China. So it's really cool in that. I would say that the first half of the book, maybe not the first half, but the beginning of the book, it's told in first person with Jack, but you start to realize that there's other characters and they're telling their stories too. So it kind of is like, wait, what's going on? And then all of a sudden, like, everything just starts to connect, and the past connects to the present, and then you're like, oh, I get it now. So that was really, really cool on that front. But I really love the book. I think the characters, minor and major characters, are really great. I really loved how MJ Rose described fragrances and smells. Like, it was like you could actually smell the scents coming out of the book. It was really, really cool. So that's the book one, and I thought it was a really awesome book. So now to book two. So the next book is called Seduction. And Seduction is, it follows again our main character, Jack, and this time she is on the Isle of Jersey off the coast of Normandy, France. And basically, a long lost friend, Theo, contacts her and says he knows she's a mythologist, and says, hey, I have these Celtic ruins or monuments, and I think you'd think it would be really cool if you came and looked at them. And what he didn't tell her is that he is actually trying to find the lost transcriptions of Victor Hugo's Conversations with the Dead. Yes, that's true. And actually I went and looked this up because I was like, is this real? And it is real. So as a FYI, Victor Hugo was a poet, a French poet, a writer, a painter, a politician. He was exiled to the Isle of Jersey in the 1850s during Napoleon III's reign. And basically he started these seances. They're called table tapping seances, and he actually says that he had conversations with Shakespeare and Plato and Galileo and Jesus and the devil. Yes, it is all true. And he actually started these seances because his eldest daughter, about 10 years before he was exiled, died suddenly. Her and her husband died in the Seine, drowned, and so I don't think he fully got over that. But this story is just really cool. It talks about Jack and her story in first person in present day France, or present day Isle of Jersey, and then also Victor Hugo in the 1850s tells his story, and it's just very cool, the connections, and you learn a lot more connections that you didn't think were there. So it was really, really cool. It's very suspenseful, very thrilling, very historical, and it was just overall a really, really great book. Okay, so let's go into the third and final book in the trilogy, which is The Collector of Dying Breaths. I would say that this was probably my favorite book. I really enjoyed it a lot. I actually have a quote from NJ Rose's website because I think it really describes the book really well. And basically it's a lush and imaginative novel that crisscrosses time as a perfume and a mythologist search for the fine line between potion and poison, poison and passion, and past and present. So yeah, I thought that was cool. And so basically we again are following our main character, Jack, and she again is telling her side of the story first person, and it begins, this kind of, the book begins with some heartbreak, but it does end in happiness. You eventually, like, you don't think at the beginning it is, or the middle, or probably the end, towards the end, but it does end in happiness. And the reason why I like this book so much is because the other part of the book, or the other side of the storytelling, is done by René Laflorentine. And I love René Laflorentine. He is a perfumist from the 1530s, and the book starts in Florence, Italy, and he ends up becoming Catherine de Medici's perfumist before she travels to France to marry the future king of France. So his job, Renee's job, is to make her beautiful perfumes. He makes her these perfumed gloves because, you know, probably in the 16th century it smelled really, really bad. He makes her medicines, he makes her poisons probably to get rid of people she didn't like, people that she didn't like politically or probably just didn't like. And so he does this for her. And as like a side note, who is Catherine de Medici? Look her up. She is awesome. She is said to be probably the most powerful and ruthless woman in the 16th century. And she was Queen of France for about 12 years. She was wife to one king. She was mother to 3 kings. And honestly, everything that she went through in her life, I don't know how she lasted that long. I would have been like, fuck it. But she lasted a very long time. And anyway, so back to the story. Renee basically is trying to find a formula that can capture someone's dying breath. And it's supposed to put in this bottle and to be reanimated into someone else, and that person will have that dying person's memories and personality and all of that stuff. So that's kind of his thing throughout the book of what he's trying to do, and trying to do this as well for Catherine. But it is a awesome story, and I love all the connections between all of them, and it's really, really great. And so that is book number 3. So those are the 3 books. I hope you guys really enjoyed them. I love the trilogy. I thought it was really good. There's actually 3 more books I was thinking of buying from N.J. Rose. One is called Cartier's Hope, and it's set in New York in 1910. It's about the Hope Diamond and Cartier and scandals. There's also Tiffany Blues, and also it's set in New York in 1924. It's about an artist who is invited to stay at the Tiffany's artist colony, and so I thought that sounded really interesting. I love that time period. And the last one is The Secret Language of Stones, and this is basically in World War I, in Paris, and a jeweler can translate the energy emulated from stones. So those 3 actually are my next 3 that I think I'm going to read of hers. Another thing that I really like about MJ Rose's books, and it happened to be these 6 books that I just talked about, but that they're all female characters. I don't think all of her books are female characters, but all of these books, the main character is female. And so I thought that was really cool, and I really enjoy those kinds of books as well. So thank you for listening to the MJ Rose trilogy. I usually give a rating system, and so actually my rating system is 10 stars, 1 through 10. I know most people probably normal and do 5 stars, but I do 10 stars. And so actually I gave this book 10 out of 10 stars. I'm probably gonna do like a small little short video of like how I rank my books and stuff like that. I do have my little list here so I don't forget anything, but it's basically I thought the book was really easy to read. I love the characters, I love the world building and the scene setting in that. I thought the plot was really great. The entertainment factor, I was entertained the whole entire time. I didn't want to put the book down. I really enjoyed the writing style of the book. Attention to detail, extremely attentive to detail. I mean, I don't know how she did all of this research, but it was definitely on point. Tied up all loose ends in all 3 books, and explored, and actually made me want to explore different books and learn about different things, like Victor Hugo and Catherine de Medici and Renee La Florentine. It was just really, really well rounded of like, I want to learn about this and this and this and this. And the depth of the subject matter I thought was actually pretty good. I would say it was like the depth of the subject matter, I don't know, I think it was because I was so invested in the characters that made me change my mind about that. So that's why I gave it 10 out of 10 stars. And so the last thing I wanted to talk about is just how much I love perfumes and essential oils and smells. I love how flower smells and all of that good stuff. I wrote down the 3 smells that I love the most, or perfumes. And so my 3 are actually Flower Bomb. I just love the way that Flower Bomb smells. Taylor Swift's Enchanted perfume. I don't know why, it just smells so delicious. And the last one is actually lavender. I love the essential oil in lavender. I used to to live in the south of France, so every time I smell lavender, I feel like I'm home, home back in France. And so those are my three favorite. And so I want to know what you guys think, and what is your favorite smell. Comment below, subscribe, like, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.